There's nothing more satisfying than finding the perfect green paint for your living room. Except maybe popping open that can of Valspar Ultra and rolling that first smooth stroke on the wall. And there's nothing more satisfying than admiring your freshly painted wall.
Ooh.
Except maybe peeling off the painter's tape to see those crisp edges. But the most satisfying part of all? Valspar Ultra's price tag, starting at $29.98 a gallon. Affordable, durable, available at Lowe's. Price varies by Shein.
Hi, everyone. I'm Solange Castrovilla,
I'm Pascal. Hi.
and this is Life in Jest, a show where we subscribe to Chaucer's sage words in the Canterbury Tales. Many a true word hath been spoke in jest. And today, we're so excited to have a guest, Keb Pound. Welcome, Keb.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's so exciting. And Keb he'll give us a fuller rundown of himself, but he's the host of the Stupid History Minute, a podcast, which I think is great because, what did you say? It's the most bingeable podcast, right? Available
in the world.
Yeah, it is, because each one is like a minute. So it's like eating potato chips. You just keep eating it. So yeah. And they're really interesting things. So really fun facts that you can bring up to people randomly and they'll be like, wow, how'd you know that? So I think it'd be kind of fun to listen to a bunch of those episodes when you're going to like a party, cocktail party or something. And people just are astounded when you throw out this information. They're like, what? And I love doing that. I love doing like random trivia on people and then look at me like, what? But they like it, but they're like astounded. So I think that's kind of fun. So I'm an author. I do a lot of children's books and I'm going to a kidlit cocktail party. So I think I'm going to, especially the ones like you have Pink Panther, things like that. I can get a bunch of stuff like that and throw it at them. And I think I'll be the hit of the party. Because I need ice.
I just listened to
I
the
get
Pink
very
Panther
nervous.
today. Oh, sorry.
What'd you say, Pascal?
I just listened to the Pink Panther one today.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was, I think that was yesterday's, right?
Yeah.
So I was right on it.
Yeah,
You were right on it.
I think today's was
Sonic
Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah.
Oh.
Which I had to differentiate because last May I did a episode on Sonic the Hedgehog, the video game.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you did that with something else with the red something. I think you did that recently.
Yeah, Big Red, not the gum. It was the sports mascot.
Yeah. So
I don't know that.
We'll talk. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I don't know Big Red, the sports mascot.
Well, you gotta listen
I just
to
know the gum.
Yes.
I
Before we get into the podcast, I also want to say you have a book called Stupid History. Is it called Stupid History? Is that the whole name of it?
It's the Stupid History book.
Okay, the Stupid History book. And I have it, and I've been reading it, and I again finding really fun things. It's definitely something I want to talk to you. I have something all picked out I want to ask you about from there.
Okay.
And you're a stand-up comedian. So tell us more about yourself.
So probably most mislabeled as a podcaster who's a comedian. I'm not. I'm a comedian who happens to have a podcast. And there is a kind of a story behind that. I have a background in sports talk radio. I've been performing in one way or another my entire life since I was 5 or 6 years old. You name it, I've done it. Was in a band, did musical theater for the longest time. I'm a huge Broadway fan, especially stuff like Hamilton. I'm a huge hip hop fan. So when you have something like Hamilton, I mean, there aren't many words out of that musical that I don't know, but I've always loved history. Went to school for it. I can tell you what Hamilton got wrong. I can tell you that.
I can too. I wrote a book about Lafayette.
So don't get your history from Broadway. Right. I mean, Aaron Burr did shoot Alexander Hamilton, but it wasn't because of what you think it is. Just stuff like that. There's a little bit more to the story.
There's a lot more to the story. There's a lot more. If you get me started, it'll never end. But Lafayette was misrepresented in that. It really
sure.
Because I am an emotional friend of Lafayette. I am all in on Lafayette. But anyway, continue.
So, kind of started a comedy about 20 years ago, and a little over. I was a writer for a comedian who probably doesn't want me to say his name, but I got tired of hearing him tell my jokes wrong. So one night at one of his shows, somebody didn't show, and I said, I'll do it.
Oh.
And I said, but I'm going to tell my jokes the right way. You can't have them anymore. Unless you pay me for them. And he paid me for one, but he gave me back the very first joke I ever wrote, and I still tell it to this day. In one form, it's changed in form over 20 years. I have kind of a dark sense of humor, and that kind of leads my entire life. I've kind of dealt with anger and vengeance issues. So I kind of morphed that, was able to compartmentalize that into my comedy. So it can get kind of,
I love that,
dark. If you've ever heard me on another podcast where, they've kind of let me go, I can get real. I went to, I don't know how much research you did on me, but I went to religious school most of my school age life.
Oh, so that's what made you so angry?
That's kind of affected me.
I hear you.
And so
I can imagine.
And so I'm not really mean. I just kind of call it like it is,
I understand.
And
I like that too. I think I reel it in a little bit more than what you're describing.
Sure.
But I can be known when I let loose, right, Pascal? It's something, right?
Yes. That's interesting.
I attend a lot.
I enjoy it.
Thank you. I have been kind of really mean about religion lately, but I get a pass because my son died. So I'm like, I get a pass. I can say whatever the hell I want about God now, because look what he did to me. I don't understand people that get like all this shit happens to them from God. And then they're like, it was what his plan was. I'm like, what? You're cool with him doing this to you? Like, it's like, they remind me of battered women, the people, they're like, what are you doing? You're just making excuses. This guy's not, I'm just talking about the evidence here. I'm not talking about what you read in the Bible. Even that is pretty rude. I mean, even somebody that would let his own son be so not just murdered, but horribly murdered like that to suffer. This is not the guy that I really want to take any kind of lessons from or anything. I mean, that's mean. It's just mean. So
I agree. I think it's a good opportunity to make one's own mind up for themselves and not get caught up in the dogma of organized. That's just my personal opinion.
Right. I mean, I don't argue with, like, well, sometimes I argue because they argue back. They argue at me and then I argue back. But I don't pick a fight, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm not going to try to insult somebody, but they go at me with scripture. I'm like, that's not really evidence of anything. That's just something that they wrote in there for you to obey. And, I feel bad because I think people spend it's not just feeling bad, but religion also causes a lot of harm. All the war, all the hate. I mean, just, but I mean, it's also like takes a lot of people's time, like that they can
money.
Yeah. They can be doing something other than just like being on their knees. It's just, but the thing is, when you started as a child with something, most people tend to stick with it. I mean, you're an exception. You obviously, before we get into that though, Pascal, come forward more, like, because the logo was fine, but now it's kind of obscuring you.
Yeah, the cat was knocking my thing over.
Oh, I can't. I don't think I can change that now. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to like move the whole thing because he kept knocking it over. He wanted to be involved.
Okay, I got rid of it. Okay, anyway, so tell us, the brand thing was the Life in Jest little brand thing was like.
Okay, yeah, I don't see that on my end. So this fucking thing is so annoying. Sorry,
Cat. Well, look, I understand.
Okay.
What made you?
There we are.
What made you? What happened to you that you became sort of deprogrammed from all this religious school?
Well, I learned to think for myself.
Well,
I can't like really point to like a thing. I learned a word when I was about 18, 19 years old. I did the whole thing. Youth group, all of my friends were in it. Friends that I still have to this day. The joke around like my immediate circle of friends and even in the podcast community is like one of my best friends who I'm on his podcast every now and again. He's an ordained Baptist minister. Wow. And it's just, because I can talk to these people because I have the knowledge, because I was in that schooling, so I'm a really bad person to argue scripture with because I had to go to chapel 5 days a week for, however many years.
5 days.
I went to an Episcopalian school, and if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Diet Catholic, and it's similar, but it's like uniforms, ties, and this is in the 80s, so late 70s into the 80s, and it's that. And then on the weekends, my family went to a Presbyterian church. You kind of got both things. But to answer your question, when I was about 18, 19, I was having a conversation with a pastor, and I'd made a joke or something to, like, somebody asked me, "Hey, what would you do if you were me?" And I said, I would kill myself.
Wow.
And the pastor heard that, and he was like, if you do that, you surrender your seat in heaven. And I just said, how do you know?
Exactly.
And then I learned this one word that religious people hate, and it's the word why.
Yes. So
they
true.
hate that word. And it was the evidence of many hypocritical things that I could see. I could sum up how way I feel, because if somebody goes, "Hey, are you religious?" I would say my answer to them is, I believe in God. Mm-hmm. That's my answer to them.
Right.
But I would sum up the way I think about it in this. We were talking about quotes earlier. Here's a quote. It's from the great 80s movie Roadhouse. And when Patrick Swayze is going to rent a room, he's talking to the guy, and the guy's like, it's not the money, though, but if I don't charge you anything, the Presbyterians around here will like it for my ruination. And he goes, how's $100 strike you? And Patrick Swayze says, well, if it keeps you in the good graces of the church. And the guy goes, isn't it peculiar how money does that very thing?
There you go. Exactly.
There you go.
So true.
That kind of sums up, what I think. Now, I take it to a very nth degree. Some people would say I take it too far, but I'll tell you this: you come and see me, I get my point across. But it hasn't just affected me; it's affected a lot of people.
Sure.
But
I think it's interesting that you still have friends that still maintain their faith, and they don't have a problem with you. A lot of times, people get angry when you leave. That.
Well, my 3 best friends. One is my best friend in the world, known him since I was 8 years old, is a very religious, very Southern Baptist, take it very literally kind of guy. Would not like the church my mom goes to. They brought in a female senior pastor, and he's like, can't have that. Right. I mean, talking Southern Baptist, right? My 2 other, who I would consider my best friends, 2 other close friends. One is a gentleman I was talking about who is an ordained Baptist minister, has a podcast. I'm not going to drop it here, but he has a podcast on the same network.
I don't
History
think
Minutes on. So, and my third is Catholic as Catholic comes.
Wow.
And so, how much fun you think I had with him when we picked a new pope. And and
my Pope's brother was interesting.
Yeah, so the 3 that, the joke is surrounded. My father-in-law, it was a minister of music for 50 years. My mother is highly religious naturally, but my dad was not at all.
Oh, interesting.
My dad was a very military, blue collar guy.
Oh boy.
And
wow.
So, he was, and the rule in my house was like we always had to go to church. My dad would take his own car, and he'd be, 12:01, he's out of there. He's back That's there, funny. Watching NFL,
Well, he did do it. So he must've wanted to please your mom, I guess.
Yeah. The funny thing was he'd be at home, and, by the time we got home, we rode with mom, me and my younger sister, and he'd be like, what took you so long? Because my mom is kind of a socialite, so she likes to.
Sure.
She likes
a lot of people go to church, they enjoy the social aspect of it a lot afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's why my mom still goes.
Yeah.
But there's a tennis club there, and they all play bridge.
Wow, they got a lot going on.
And my mom's what they call a baby boomer. And she doesn't, she's like, you need to learn how to play bridge since you turned 50. I was like, our generation plays. We play poker. We play poker. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit around and play bridge. I'm not playing dominoes either.
No.
I
really don't like games. I think they take up a lot of time. I don't like wasting time on things that you could actually do something, I don't know, constructive. Like,
Sure.
but I mean, like, that you're a comedian, so you could write jokes instead of sitting there playing this game. I could write a book, I mean, this thing, I don't know. I want to produce something with my time, or even just learning something. To me, a game is just this repetitive thing. But that said, I have learned to hang out with people and play games, and somewhat enjoy them. I played Monopoly, the new Monopoly that's like a card game. I played that with my son and daughter-in-law, and we did have a great time, but I think alcohol had a lot to do with it.
I like to go. I don't know if you guys have one. You're in Long Island, correct?
Yes.
I was listening to your episode about 9/11, and
well, actually, not the one without Pascal that we had.
Right, and I have a thought on that for later.
Okay.
But I don't know if you guys have one of these where you live, but I like to go to this. I'd like to play games too, and I go to this place, get a drink, and sit down and play this game called roulette.
Yeah.
You're saying?
I used to have one when I was a kid. I had my own little roulette.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And
someone gave it to me. It was fun.
I go there. What card game you like? I like blackjack. I mean,
wow.
you want to play.
I don't know any of that stuff. Like, if someone could just take me for whatever, because I don't know how to play any of those things. I just don't. I could do the slot machine.
Yeah, and these people that come up and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to teach you how to play." When I was on the cruise, you guys like, "You play blackjack?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because I would just rather go and hand the dealer my money."
Right,
I'm not good. And he's like, "Well, how about I'll teach you how to play. I have a system." I said, "What do you do for a living?" He's like, "I'm a restaurant manager." I said, "Pretty good system, huh?" And he's just like, he just gives me this look. And then my wife goes, "Don't look at me. I live with them."
Right.
So, which is her favorite saying.
Yeah. That's funny.
But anyhow, I don't know if that's a long way to answer your question.
No, I like that. I like that you had the nerve to say that. And my aunt was raised in a Catholic environment, and she got thrown out. She was making her, what's the second one? The confirmation thing that's right, when you're like 12 or 13 or something, right?
Yeah,
And
around that.
she asked a question. She had the nerve to ask a question. She said, "I understand the Father, I understand the Son, but can you explain the Holy Spirit?" And the guy threw her out. That was it. She was just like, they threw her out of the whole religion. And then another time when her mother died, she's my father's sister. My grandmother, I never met her, but she was extremely religious, like crazy, crazy Catholic. And her husband was a communist organizer. So wow, but she died, and my aunt went to the priest and asked him to say a prayer at the grave because her mother had been so religious, so she was trying to honor her mother. And he asked to be paid, and she didn't have the money, and he wouldn't do it. And this woman had volunteered in the church every single week for, many, many years. I mean, how horrible is that?
Yeah, it's like do you guys know who Joel Osteen is?
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, Hurricane Harvey hits Houston. He's locking the doors.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he calls the plumber, says something's wrong on this wall over here. They open up the wall and he finds $600,000 in cash, unmarked bills.
Wow.
I
didn't hear about that. Wow.
I mean, this guy's on TV in front of 15,000 people once a week. And I was just like, I can't. I don't turn on the news or anything like that because I don't want to give people the opportunity to lie to me today.
I like that.
And the news has become very unnewsy. I'll say that it's no longer just, you're not just getting you're getting their opinions, really. You're getting the way they want.
Yeah, it's commentary. That's all it is. If you want commentary, listen to a podcast. Somebody asked me earlier today.
At least we're honest about it.
Yeah, somebody asked me earlier today. They're like, "Why are you wearing a Cracker Barrel hat?" And I said, "Because the Cracker Barrel fiasco of the last week is the first thing that's brought some people in this country together in a long time." Everybody thought the new logo was stupid, and I said, that's why
I missed that.
But
I remember the furor because they decided to have something vegetarian on the menu or something.
Yeah.
Lost their freaking lives.
Listen.
So I said, I'm wearing my Cracker Barrel hat to show that I appreciate people coming together for a cause.
Wow, that's really important to worry about a logo of a restaurant. I mean, we really concentrate on important things here.
Seriously,
Oh my God.
It's kind of like back in the 80s when they brought that new Coke out.
Yes.
And that went over well.
I mean, really, I've never seen so many. You're right. A big furor, everybody united against it is crazy.
Yeah, they sure did.
I mean, they got rid of that quick.
It was a kind of stupid thing to do. Why, when they say if something's not broken, don't fix it. Why would you do that?
It tastes of horror. I still don't have that taste out of my mouth. I'm a Coke. I keep soda in business, man.
Oh, do you?
And I drink the 0 sugar ones though, so it's fine.
No, it's not. You know that your body metabolism is like the same. Come on.
Shine the fact I have type 2 diabetes. That's okay.
Oh, wow. Well, I suppose the diet one is better because you're not having the sugar. It really is, I'm a little bit serious when it comes to that stuff. I'm like, I'm like, it's very.
She is.
I'm a bit of I'm not a complete health nut, but.
What were you trying to get me to do? Oh, change how I drink tea.
Oh, because we did an episode on plastic, like how absolutely deadly it is. And like, we're all going to die from the plastic. So we shouldn't even worry about the soda because it's the plastic that's going to get us because it has all these cancer causing things in it. And every time you drink out of a plastic bottle, you're drinking particles of the plastic, like it's inescapable. Right. So we found out that the tea bags are sealed with by a plastic. So I told her she's poisoning herself every time she drinks tea, but she doesn't care.
What are you going to do?
So should you drink it through a plastic straw?
No, you're supposed to you don't use a tea bag. You get the loose tea, one of those seeper things.
Oh, okay.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah, you shouldn't use a tea bag.
I do have a 5-gallon thing of water in my kitchen.
That's good.
And I drink about a gallon of water a day.
Excellent.
However, the majority of it is mixed with Jack Daniels.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of Jack Daniels.
Listen, but it's a lot of water, so it's okay.
That's how I rationalize it.
Alcohol is my friend. I mean, I like it. I need something. It's like basically all I have left. It's my friend. I sit with my alcohol and I don't have to sit I don't understand bars because I don't want to talk to a bunch of people I really like jerky. I've never found a bar where the people are really that entertaining. You know what I mean? They're kind of like whatever. Maybe a couple of really upscale ones, but then it's like, $45 a drink or something. Like, who can afford that? So, and even then they're kind of pretentious anyway. Like it's not, but they're more interesting than the people that are just like so stupidly drunk that like, what are we doing here? So I like to.
I disagree.
Yeah. You used to be a bit of a bar person. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know how much material I have written going into dive bars?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I respect that for sure.
I will get like a little chair in the corner and get me a drink and just, and there's one here that is the dive bar to end all dive bars. I mean, literally hosing off the floor at the end of the night.
Oh my God.
I'm talking about out, in the bar area.
Wow.
But they do. I mean, I wish I have videos of this, but they do karaoke 6 nights a week.
Oh, I would love it. I would love that,
dude. And it's a show. I mean,
it is because
it is. Have you ever watched? The show American Idol?
Sure.
Yeah.
The episodes where they put the bad people on?
Oh, yeah, I feel bad.
Those are my favorite. That's the only reason I watched it.
Those people are good compared to these people.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
We
used to go to one like that also. Yeah.
Awesome. And I try to search up wherever I go. I could tell you, I mean, certainly Florida in the Big Five. When I say the Big Five, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Orlando, Miami, and Tampa. I could tell you where the good ones are in Atlanta, Savannah, Macon, Charlotte, Birmingham, New Orleans. New Orleans got like 50. Yeah. I mean, New Orleans. If you've never been to New Orleans, Louisiana, man, I love it.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Awesome. It's awesome.
St. Louis has a bunch of them.
Really?
New Orleans is If you
how do you know all these? Is because when you're traveling doing stand up, you find them? Is that what happens?
Yeah, either that or just traveling in general. I will search out. there are like biker bars that like what we'll do, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. There's a biker bar in St. Augustine, Florida. And so me and a couple of people who think they're funny, we got a bunch of, do you know what a Vespa is?
Yeah.
Like a moped, right?
Yeah.
And we dressed up like we were going to play golf. Okay. And so we were videoing this. And so we were driving down the road, down US 1, towards this place is called the Rooster. All right.
Okay. Of course.
And we pull up, and there's all these Harleys and Indians, and all this. And we're pulling up. One of them was like a teal Vespa. One of them was pink.
Oh God.
And so we pull up on it, and we walk in. And you ever seen those movies where people walk in a bar, you just hear the record scratch?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was silent.
Wow.
And I never felt like I was going to get hurt or anything, but I definitely felt like I was not wanted there.
No way.
So until they figured out what we were doing.
Oh, they did. Well, that was.
And then we were their best friends.
Right. How did they figure it out? Did you tell them?
Well, we kind of like sat there, and because I'll tell you this, anybody who's done stand up will tell you that we could care less about an uncomfortable silence. It doesn't bother us one bit. If you've been doing it for 10 minutes, you know that, I mean, for the first 5 years stand up, you bomb. So is ingrained into you, I mean, silence to me is, just move on. Sure. I mean, I'm good with silence. Just tells me I need to move on. Sooner or later I'll get to something that you either hate me about or you'll laugh sooner or later. But it's the people who don't, I don't want to say survive, but don't, keep at it, because comedy's not like a success failure thing. It's a keep moving forward thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And because I will tell you this, I'm one of these people that argue the fact that there's something funny about everything. Okay. Like in 2024, I had sepsis and I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma, and I made jokes about both of them constantly. Because that's how I deal with stuff like that. Is I make fun of it.
That's actually a very good way to do it.
Yeah. So
a way to respond.
And people were like, "That's disrespectful to people with cancer," and I'm like, "I have cancer."
Had it. I mean,
yeah, really.
I call it the Daniel Tosh rule. If you guys know who that is.
Yeah.
He's one of my.
You remember Tosh Point out?
Oh yeah, I watched it every week.
I've heard of Tosh, but I don't really know what is.
Tosh, if you think people are over the line, you'll go watch him. You won't think people are over the line anymore, because he is over the line.
I don't think anybody's over the line. I'm a huge. I told you I've been listening to Howard Stern since I was a teenager. So
Howard Stern of the '80s.
Yeah.
Was, when he was on like network radio, like WNBC in New York.
Yeah, I started listening to him in the '80s. Yeah. So
I mean. I don't know what's going on with this little disappearing act right now, but
I'm really mad because I got up at 7 and I stay up. I'm a late person. Now Pascal is a morning person, so she was up anyway, and I got up just to hear him, and only for them to say that now it's going to be next week. Like, that really made me angry, because you shouldn't do that to your fans.
Someone told me Walter died.
Walter died like a month ago.
Oh, he did? Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, then I don't know. Maybe his mother died.
Walter's his cat. He would have come on and said Walter. He came on when his best friend died that day.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but what if it's his mother?
It's not his mother. It's just one of those stupid. I don't like when he plays tactics on his audience. Okay,
I was hoping he wasn't, but
I'm sure. No, then they would say his mother died. They're just being asses about the whole thing. I think it might be.
It was kind of annoying.
I think he might be afraid that someone might want to, like, because he's, right now all the comedians are kind of, what's his name? Colbert got fired. I think they're all a little scared because of.
I think late night TV is going away.
Well, that could be for sure.
Yeah. I think the only one that's going to survive is probably Fallon, because it's NBC.
Yeah.
Why would Fallon survive?
Well, I don't think ABC. Disney is going to put up with Kimmel losing money for that much longer. I think the Tonight Show is the only one that actually makes money.
Really?
So
I don't know these things. I only hear about it on Howard, and Howard is great friends with Kimmel, so I would never hear anything about
But I think it's all going to morph into shows like The Daily Show, and things of that nature.
I don't watch any of it anyway, but I do feel.
I don't either.
I feel badly for them that, like, they're being persecuted now because of speaking out. So I think I don't know. So I think maybe Howard's a little worried about his own, safety or something. It could be.
I will tell you this. I would give my right arm and part of my left arm to have a morning drive syndicated radio show.
Sure.
I mean, trust me, I could think of 3 hours a day stuff to say.
Oh yeah. I mean, Howard is the man. Like I just adore him, and I don't want him to leave. But he is 71 or something. So
Sure.
I mean, sometimes you got to move on.
I don't care about any of that. I just don't like to be toyed with. Don't tell me to get up at 7 to hear you on September 2nd, and then say, "Oh, it'll be next week." That's rude. We have been loyal to this man. So
sure.
That's how I feel.
I guess we'll see next.
Yeah. It better not be again. We go to him for honesty. We go to him for that's it. But
sure.
Anyway, so Keb, tell us how'd you get started with the podcast then?
So in 2000, I got to start at the beginning for this to make sense. So 2018, everybody was like, "Hey, you need a podcast. Hey, you need a podcast. Hey, you need a podcast." And I was like, I don't know what to say. And they're just like, how about you just get a microphone, turn it on, and record what you're thinking at that moment. So the first episode of a podcast called Keb Unfiltered was entitled Things. Now I've deleted all these, so you can't get to them. But it was called Things That Piss Me Off. And I had written down a number of things that irritated me, and I told people why. Okay. The episode was 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
So people are like, yeah, no one's listening to you for 2.5 hours. Just
you might want to cut it down to several episodes.
Right. So I didn't know.
I might listen to that.
Yeah. I didn't know. And so the second one, so somebody who caught that, all 4 people, who caught that, somebody sent me a list of questions, and they're like, "Hey, this will help you out." Because at the end of them, I was just like, "Hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing, but if you are, thank God you blasted this long, I would have clicked off after 5 minutes. But if you have any ideas, please send them to me because I don't, So this guy sends me like a list of like 50 questions. And I answered those. That episode got like 100 listens. And I was like, wow, 100 people, and it's like, you guys know where people live, and you know how to do the geolocation on, whoever is your distributor. Yeah. And so when you see a city that no one in, and somebody listened to me, then I don't know them. I thought that's like a rite of passage.
I find them in really far countries. I'm like, oh, this is so.
Yeah, like somebody in Istanbul. I have a friend that has a podcast called the Two Penny Podcast, and he's like, I'm the number 1 podcast in Nova Scotia. Nice. Because and I'm just like, I'm the number 1 podcast in Keystone Heights, Florida.
There you go.
But anyway, so I was on that, and I met a gentleman that goes by the moniker Beebs, and me and him hit it off, and another gentleman named Scott, but he's Catholic, so we call him Saint Joe. And we would we all worked together I have a long history, and I have an interest in a home improvement company.
Okay.
So I don't really do much with it except for background sales and marketing. So kind of do that. Anyhow, so they were sales guys, right? Okay. And we all worked at the same company. This before the company I got to now. And this is 2018, 19, somewhere in there. Uh-huh. And we would have these great, funny conversations. And then somebody was just like, you guys should record this. And so we're like, all right. So we dropped the Keb and we just called it Unfiltered, know, and so, but it was, and those are still up. You can go find those. And
I think I saw it mentioned on your.
Yeah, it's morphed into a sports show because it wound up all we would talk about sports. But we would create characters and had other comics who made voices call in, and it was very politically incorrect and or incorrect, and heavily based. You had we marketed it. What happens when a comedian, a Baptist pastor, and a Catholic get together? That's how we marketed it.
I like that. That's a very good way to market. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Anyhow, it took off. And got like way more popular than probably needed to be. And then an app came out, and this is a little after the pandemic. An app, during the pandemic, I mean, all we could do was podcast. I couldn't get on stage anymore. Yeah. And after the pandemic, an app called Good Pods came out, and we were like, this app is brand new. Who cares? But it's exposure,
right?
And so, and I still say, I've talked to the people at Good Pods. I've had multiple Zoom conferences with those guys. I still think the same thing about them, but they are good for exposure. If you want people to see you and know your name, granted, 99% of all people that use that app are podcasters.
Right.
So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to gain a real audience, or are you just trying? It's like a comedy open mic. All I'm telling jokes is to other comics.
That's right. But if you think about it, podcasters do listen to podcasts.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
The commercials don't care who listened. They just count to as a download.
Yeah, that, and you have to look at it from a kind of a multi-level marketing scheme. Is if your baseline are podcasters, and they sooner or later it's going to get out to the people who don't have a podcast and just listen to them. And that's, I don't want, it's kind of like the pastor saying, I don't want the churched, I want the unchurched, and so that's kind of the way I look at it. It's all, exposure. It's marketing 101.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
So we're doing that. Do you guys know what the term blue means?
Yes.
You mean like dirty?
They like to say the F word. They like to say. So anyhow, I have two kids, and back then they were younger, but they're now 20, and in 2 weeks my son will be 18.
Nice.
And so I wanted something that they could listen to, and not only that, they could help with.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay. I said, but it has to be funny. So I listened to a bunch of history podcasts, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they're all the same. They're all like way long. Okay. Yeah. They all, and a lot of them, they say their name a lot, like they're Walter Cronkite. I'm Walter Cronkite. And they just beat to death the same thing. It's like they all get together and they're like, okay, this week we're all going to talk about JFK. Was he shot or not? It's just, we're going to talk about the Zodiac killer, the greatest serial killer ever.
They make it like boring with their voices. Like,
right.
What are you doing?
So I'm listening to one of these and I'm sitting in my recliner and I'm like, is it not good? Is it going to be bad if I mock podcasts? And I said, if we just make this a joke, it's really long. And so my wife's like, she could see like the wheels turning. Right. And so I'm like, I've got an idea. And she goes, what is your idea? And I said, I'm going to do a 1-minute-long podcast. And she's like, what are you going to do it on? And I said, I think history. And she goes, but it's going to be 1 minute long. I said, yeah, thereabouts. It's going to have, but the content will be 1 minute. And I said, you get stuff like that. And she goes, and I said, it's going to be clean. Okay. And she goes, but it's going to be 1 minute long. And I said, yeah. And she goes, that's stupid. I said, that's what we're going to call it. That's what we're going to call it. And then she goes, well, what are you going to talk about? On my kitchen table, there was a Ninja blender box. I saw it. And I said, the very first episode is going to be about the history of a blender.
Yeah.
Not too far from that.
That's in your book, too.
Yeah, not too far from that. It's the very first chapter. The chapters in the books, if you listen to the first 100 episodes, are very similar.
Okay.
But there are a couple in there that I put in there towards the end, like pickles, paper clips, things like that, because, and we'll get to that in a second, but it's based on the first, so blenders and balloons. I said that. So I got this together, and then in my limited YouTube and Wikipedia research, got really easy things, and I read the almanac. So that was truthfully, that's where I got most of my research for those first 30.
Yeah.
And I didn't have now I have a college student doing most of my research for me. So that's why they're a tad bit more entertaining, but I still have to put my twist on it. And we have and I'll take you through that in a second, but it was funny. I put 30 out there. And I didn't think anything of it. Just went on doing my daily life. And I remember on Twitter, I got a DM. I didn't have a Stupid History Minute Twitter, Stupid History Minute Facebook, nothing like that. I just had my personal, and I was just putting it out there. And I had, the friends that we had made in the indie podcast community, and I just say, hey, look, this is kind of dumb, but I think it's funny. And, I'm sorry if you don't think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And it just kind of went from there. And after the 30, about a week later, somebody was like, dude, where's my Stupid History Minute today? Like that. And I'm like, okay. So I recorded another 50 and then let it go a month. And then they're like, dude, like that. And so finally my wife was just like, this might be a thing, and she goes, this different. And then I remember when I caught the eye of somebody that I consider a celebrity. And they're like, dude, and he literally said this. He's like, dude, I just binged 50. And he goes, it's the most bingeable podcast. And that's where the most bingeable podcast in the world came from. And I said,
brilliant idea to do them minute by minute, because it just makes you want to keep going. It's a great idea. It's a really brilliant idea.
Well, my ideas always work sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I know that feeling.
So what's funny is the way it's gotten to now. I do quite a few of these about kind of where the Stupid Minute's going. And a lot of people are interested in the production process for some reason. They're like, dude, do you get up in the morning and record a pod? No, dude, we do it once a month.
That's what I figured. Well, because you said you did a bunch in a row. I think that's a much better idea than doing it minute by minute every day.
What's funny is people who know me, if they listen, because if you just whatever podcast player you have, if you just, subscribe, it'll pop up on you every day, right?
Right.
And they're like, what's funny is at the beginning of the month, you're all into it. And you could tell towards the end of the month, you're just trying it because, it takes about 2 hours to do a month.
Yeah, so you're getting tired from the recordings. Yeah.
Right. So we've started taking a break in the middle. After the 15th episode, we'll take a break and go do something for an hour or two.
So that's
and then come back and do it, because back when it started, probably the first 600-700 episodes, it was just me in a room by myself. Yeah. But now I have what they call a producer, and who is my 20-year-old daughter.
That's nice. That's fun to do that with your daughter. I love that.
Yeah, and they think it's dumb. We have a list of words that people have emailed us and hit us on Instagram or whatever that they don't like when I say them, like the word beloved. There are many people who hate that word.
Wow. Really?
So we try to put it in every episode. The word moist, you will hear a lot.
Women do not like that word.
No, and but we're not doing anything. So
I can imagine taking my time to complain about a word that was spoken.
No, it's so stupid.
I don't think it's so much the word, but the way that I say it. Because you'll get into.
I noticed you did that with a couple. There were a couple of things that could be taken a lot of different ways, and you emphasize them, and so sort of implying it in the more dirty way than really it was on your podcast. I noticed you did that. So
wait until the episode of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids come out.
I want to see that.
It's soon. It might be tomorrow. It's I'd have to look. It's pretty soon, because once we upload them, I kind of walk away, and I'm on to.
Are you saying that it's because of what we found out about Bill Cosby later that you're kind of making it more?
I'm just saying that there might be some suggestive comments by the host, but not like, like saying like something like, saying something that happened in the Fat Albert thing that might be close to, that's ironic. He taught you how to be, how to be, that's ironic. Stuff like that. I really want to do, like, when we did fast foods, I took a shot at Jared from Subway. That got me some flack.
Really? In jail?
Dude, you would not believe the people who back. I mean, I think people are out there just argue to argue.
I guess so.
They really do.
And so July, I did a bunch of these conspiracy theories, right?
Oh, that's fun.
And I like the history of the conspiracy of these separate conspiracy theories. Man, when I did the government controls the weather, people were seriously, like, on Twitter trying to explain to me why the government controls the weather. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Okay, I'm giving you the history of the conspiracy theory. The word stupid is right in the title, And
what about the birds aren't real thing? Like, people actually go to those thinking that it's a real thing, that he's saying birds aren't real, but he's only making fun of the whole thing. I mean, that guy's brilliant. He's
like me. He I mean, that guy wanted, that dude's a genius. We did Birds Aren't Real. I have a history, and not a good one, with the flat earth community.
No. Talk about the biggest morons in the world.
I got into a podcast argument with, like, their leader, Flat Earth Dave. And
Flat Earth Dave.
Yeah. And
how did you find, like, where is this guy? How do you know, like, do they have like a website you find them on? How did you do that?
They have these smoke signals that they put up when people don't believe. They're very vocal about the flat earth not being real, because all I said was, hey, if there's an ice wall around there, how come there are no cruises to it? That's all I said, And you would have thought I started World War III. And then I was just like, sooner or later, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you. I'll just start making fun of you,
Yeah,
and he was like, so yada, 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 yada. Well, what do you think of that? I said, I personally think you're a fucking moron, and I mean, don't ask the question if you don't want the answer. It's like what my dad taught me when I was 6,
right?
And, I mean, just anyhow, so we recorded an episode back on the old Unfiltered show in May of 2021. I am still, to this day, 4 or 5 a day getting comments on that YouTube. Yeah, and there's no video on the YouTube. It's just audio.
Wow.
So to this day, it is the most listened to, and I mean, it's just the flat earthers coming out and just telling me I'm stupid.
Right.
So when I tagged them in July on the Stupid History Minute, I thought that we were going to get some back and forth going. Not one of them said anything. I was so disappointed.
Wow.
I mean, it was a successful episode, but just had the the probably the normal audience listening to it. I don't think it really wasn't that bad to, I was just basically telling you the history of the stupidest movement on the face of the earth. But
yeah,
it really is.
It's definitely one of them. I don't know.
But hey, that's kind of how we got here.
That's really interesting. So, like, I understand why you're calling it stupid, but it doesn't seem stupid to me. Like, you know what I mean?
It's more directed at the subject matter. You're listening to the history of a paperclip, of a pickle.
I think it's great to learn the history of the paperclip. I think we need to, like, everything has its place. Everything has,
sure.
And paperclips are very useful. Why not know about them? Because they're like staples, right? Okay.
And there is a exorbitant amount of everyday items and topics. Because everything can be construed. Like, this turned into the book, which that was we worked on that thing. And I say we, it's a team. I know it has my name on it, but we worked on that thing to try the joke. Okay. That's a whole different joke. Okay. Number one, there are 3 Easter eggs in it that no one's been able to find. I have a $500 Visa gift card for the first person who finds it. Okay, but there's 3. But you have to look hard. People have gotten 2. There's 2 right at the beginning.
I know what it is. I know the concept of the Easter egg, but what are you saying? Like, what are we looking for in there?
There's one pretty glaring mistake, and it's put in there on purpose.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you where it's at.
No,
there's one chapter there's one chapter that the title is one thing, and it talks about a totally different thing, but they're called the same thing, so it's the same word.
Oh, yeah.
So there's one chapter, and that's pretty early in the book, and then there are a couple of things to where part of they would mention somebody would mention it to me. You know, and be like, and one person got really close. He's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this book." And I was like, "Keep in mind the title of it."
Right.
You know, I said, "Keep in mind." But the joke about it is that what we worked so hard on was not only did the kids do really good at the research. I had to correct a little bit. My wife's a teacher. My mom's a teacher. My sister's a teacher.
Oh.
But we tried to get it to sound like a history book.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the joke of it, because I could have easily put commentary in there and what I think, you know.
That's actually what I was going to ask you, that your decision to keep it does read like pretty straight history book. It absolutely does.
And what we marketed it at originally, which is what I would still say, is that this book belongs on the back of every toilet.
You know, it would be good for a toilet book. Yeah, because while you're in there, you can read one of the chapters and really,
you know, the chapter's pretty quick. I mean, it's a novelty item, you know, and yes, volume 2 is in the works.
Cool. I really like the cornflake one. It's interesting that the guy, Kellogg, discovered it because he left the wheat on the stove too long and it got ruined. And then he's like, "Well, I'll serve this to my patients." Great. But then it said that he put it through 2 rollers, like a rolling pins. What were the rollers? Do you know?
So, yeah. And this is depicted also if you watch a television show called The Food That Built America.
Oh, okay.
They love talking about those guys. And what you're talking about, a roller is kind of like a crank, deal. You know, so kind of like one of those old school. They use those for a number of different things. What you'll find too is with a lot of foods, they were made by mistake.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's hysterical. I love how it came out. But then when he switched it to the corn, I love how it did not. It was like a failure for a long time, because I think that's an important lesson. That's something that all kids should know. Like, because they just know the ultimate success of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they need to know that there's a lot of failure before the success. I think that's a very key thing for especially.
Just look at Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was actually asked, talking about quotes again, he was actually asked, you know, why did you fail, 2,000 times to make a light bulb? He's like, I didn't fail. I just found 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny you bring up kids, because what is kind of morphed into is, and I have older children, but my cousins and people who are younger than me don't. And one of my nieces was just like, you like history. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, history's just so boring. No, it's not.
Right.
I said, what's boring is the person who's teaching it to you.
Yep. That's so
and I said, listen to this. And she's like, this isn't boring like that, because it's relatable. She knows what a paperclip is. She probably has no clue who Ben Franklin is. It's the people that teaching it, and it just boils down to, and I know this because I'm surrounded by teachers who give a damn, is there are teachers out there that don't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's really,
I will say, I have been fortunate enough to know a lot of teachers that do. Like, I just have so many close friends that are teachers that are the passionate ones, like, so amazing. So I'm very grateful to them. I think the problem with teaching these days is that there's so many rules about the way to teach, like all the standards and this and that. So a lot of times they don't get to really do the things that they really want to do. They have to like somehow squeeze it all in because they're teaching to these tests, or there's a million things going on. That's a problem. So yes, there are teachers that don't care. That's true. But I think the majority do, but they just their hands are tied, And I do think, speaking of conspiracies, I do think there's a conspiracy against education for the middle class and socioeconomically, I can't say the word, but people that are also challenged, also obviously. But the middle class is the biggest threat to the upper class because if we're educated, we have some means to do something,
Sure.
So that's why public education is just a disaster. I mean, no fault of the teachers. It's the people trying to throw the monkey wrench into the whole thing to stop us from really having the education that they have. So I want to make it clear that I do not blame any teachers for anything. I love you guys.
Teachers are hard workers, man. They're salt of the earth.
Very hard. Teachers and librarians are so hard. Pascal works in the library field, and
nice.
And I always called her my research assistant because when I needed a book, she just gets me the book. It's like so cool.
That's nice.
I ordered
I love libraries. That's my thing.
Yeah, and I
almost got kicked out of a library.
What did you do?
I took my book in there and just put it on a shelf and left.
Oh my God!
And they,
and they're like, "Sir, you left your book." No, I didn't. That's yours.
That's just
and they're like, no, and they're like, and it was a hard copy too. Wow. I mean, it was the hard copy, which, and I was like, well, if you want it, I'll sign it for you, but it's like $50, or you can
that
go.
That might have been where it went.
Wow.
Or you can go on Amazon and buy it for like $6 or whatever it is. I don't even know the price of it. That's horrible.
Well,
because
I mean, they have distributors that go right to the library, so.
It's such a novelty item that we had more fun. Like, I remember when we were done with it and we like hit upload and we were just like, thank God we don't have to do this tomorrow, but we had a lot of fun with marketing it because we got finished with it in like July and we were like, okay, we're going to do it for October. So lead up to Christmas. So people buy it for Christmas. Right.
Yeah.
And so we had, I had a bunch of, promos that we made for like, we make one spooky for Halloween and then one for, like with kitchen things clinking in the background for Thanksgiving. And then, one with, we made one with, the instrumental version of that Mariah Carey song for, Christmas, behind it. And then we made one with the New Year's song behind it. I forget the name of the song, but we had a lot of fun. Then Father's Day came along. Every father needs this, and,
right.
And it did that.
Did you do Hanukkah?
Yes, we actually did because a good podcasting friend of mine is Jewish, so I had her do it. And there's actually in the Stupid History book a chapter on the menorah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and then we do, and be careful, you'll be getting an email come October. Every January on the Stupid History Minute, we do guest host month, where another podcast host that isn't me, 30 different ones, one for every day, and January 31. And they get to pick a topic. We do the research. We email you the copy of what we want it to sound like.
Nice.
And you record it and send it back to us. We take it from there.
Wow, that's so cool. What a great idea.
We started doing it 2 years ago. We did it for a week. And then people were like, damn, it didn't get in. So we did it for 2 weeks later that year. And then they're like, okay. I was like, bet you we could fill up a month. So we did a month. And then January just became guest host month. And we have like a sign up sheet that there's a link and you go pick your day, because some people are like, hey, I want to be on my birthday or whatever. And you go pick your day. I always have the January 1st because I do the episode of the year from the previous year.
Right.
And so we'll talk about the episode of the year from 2024, which I have a feeling I already know what it is, but there's a lot of time left. But we'll do episode of the year, and we'll replay that episode.
Right. That's cool.
Cool. And after you talk about it for a little bit, and then January 2nd is when the guest host month starts. People are already asking me about it.
That sounds
because that sounds great.
So I always take like 5 more than we need because people will be stuff happens and
that's true. Yeah.
But I have a staff email that my staff, meaning my kids, who
I love that.
Having kids, what I wanted to do is have people that looked half like me and then rule over them for a number of years.
I like that.
That's a good plan. Yeah. That's really fun for them to work with you like that. They must love it.
Sometimes it feels like a job, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, it is a job, but it's cool. I don't know. I think it's just something very cool about being involved in this creative endeavor,
Oh, well, my daughter's a graphic design major.
Oh, wow.
So
Very
she's
cool.
junior in college in the graphic design program. So she's into that stuff like that. She's asked me a number of times to redesign. I'm in marketing. So the big thing in marketing is continuity, branding. And so if you're one of these podcasts that changes your podcast art every now and again, it doesn't become identifiable. So especially at the beginning, and when I say the beginning, the first 5 years, just keep the podcast art the way it is. I'm a member of a podcast network, so the only thing that I've changed is I put their network logo on my podcast art. And if you listen to Stupid History Minute, at the end of it, it says this is a member of whatever.
Yeah, I heard that. What? Can you explain what that is?
Unfiltered Studios it's a collection of like-minded podcasts. It's not so much a network and like they grab your RSS feed or anything like that, but it's just a collection of podcasts that are very similar in thinking, but it's a very diverse group. It's not like just history, just comedy or what. I mean, we got movies. You could overdose on self-help.
Right.
There's 3 or 4 religious podcasts and there's a bunch, TV show podcasts. It's about 30 of them. It's a smaller on the group size, but it's all people like, we have a couple chat rooms. We share episodes and if people have like technical questions or things like that, or marketing questions, or what's the best way to handle TikTok, somebody in there will be a TikTok person. And I was told, and again, 20-year-old, 18-year-old, that I needed to record or go live on TikTok for my recording sessions. And I said,
everyone?
No, just let people peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that. I decided I'm going to be going, I have done live only once. What I do with TikTok is right now what I do is I put clips of us, but I also am an author. And whenever I try to put anything author thing, I just learned, because I've been listening to a lot of advice about TikTok, that the algorithm really wants you to always kind of do the same thing, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, so now I think I'm going to start a different account for each one of my genres, and then just mostly do the podcast with my name that I've been doing. But I want to go live, and I want to talk about, I guess they say, and I mean, one thing about me, you can see, as you are, I'm very authentic. I'm just me, right? So when you go live, people get to see the real you. Like, they get to know what you're like. And I think that, so it's funny you're talking about going live, because I'm just planning out, I'm going to have like a thing where I talk about different human emotions and why I record about them or write about them. And I have like a strategy now for going live, because I think it's a great idea for you to do the recording, because you have it all set what you're going to do then.
Well, yeah, but they want to see how many times it takes me to do, like, can I do them all in one take? That doesn't happen. Like, there are many episodes where it takes me.
That's a great idea for you to do that. I think people would definitely tune in.
There's many episodes where it's like I'm on the 6th time, and I'm just like, dude, can I, and I don't know if you caught one. Every now and again, like, I'll get a name and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. I will tell everybody, hey, I'm about to butcher this name.
Yeah.
And then say, whatever it is, it's typically probably, it's just a tough name.
I'm the worst with names. Even when I think I'm going to get it right, I get it wrong. Oh boy, look what you're drinking. Oh dear.
I told you.
What were you drinking? I missed it.
It's a Mountain Dew Zero.
Oh, that's man. That's like, your insides are glowing that color.
Well, I started going.
It's antifreeze.
I started going at 4:45 this morning. So.
Wow. Well, all right.
Yeah. Me too.
Really? All right. So, well, funny you say that, because it's time to wrap up.
Cool.
I think this is fascinating. The reason why I asked you here is, well, I love comedy, but I also really love history. I read a lot about history, and I think, so I think you haven't been disappointing. your wonderful guest.
Good.
No, this was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And maybe next time you can come on and we can just pick a couple of topics and really talk about how you research and things, interesting things. But this has really been a great time. I really appreciate it. Oh, I have one more quick question to ask you.
Sure.
It's saying in your bio, your wife is soon to be famous.
Okay. All right. So where does that come from? So when we were, I'm on my second marriage. Okay. So number one, don't take marriage advice from me. Yeah. So what so I, when we were doing Unfiltered, they would be like, well, they'd be like, naming their wives. Well, my wife is a teacher. She is also a union rep. She is also, so she doesn't need her name out there, right? Especially when I'm getting kicked off of YouTube for going after the Pope. You know what I'm saying? So when I told about the time where I said the Pope is so overrated, it's not, she didn't need that happening. And I'm gonna let you in on a little thing. My government name is not Keb either. So my mother didn't name that. Personally, she hates it. However, she does appreciate it when people associate blue comedy with Keb and not. And my last name is Pound though.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a total stage name. It's a nickname.
Right.
Anyhow. Right. So I didn't want to just say the wife. So I was just like, look, after the kids are all in college and they all go out there, I'm going to do what I do, kind of full time, because I don't feel like I do it full time now. I'm talking like, every Thursday for like this weekend. I have an open weekend, right? So I'm talking like every Thursday, Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, right? And we're going to go after this thing. We're going to get on Kill Tony. We're going to get on Joe Rogan. We're going to go after this thing. And so I said, you're going to be world famous, but right now you're just soon to be world famous.
Okay.
You are the soon to be world famous wife. I'm telling you,
All right.
I like that too.
So, because I can't get through shows without talking about my wife, because look, and this will be my last thought. Everybody out there that goes to see stand-up comedy, okay? You could go see anybody talk about Trump and Biden and Kamala, and you can go see anybody do that, but you can only come and see me to hear about my life and what I think's funny. Like I just turned 50, I just turned 50, so now I have a new relationship with sneezing. Stuff like that. Because when you sneeze, now your feet hurt. I mean,
that's not you do. We don't have that.
I mean, I'm down here in Florida, where it's excuse the term, fuck hot, and I mean, it's just getting hotter. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It is, yeah.
I mean, September 3rd, it's like I got in my car, it's like 101.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you've been great. Now I know I mentioned to you that we do quotes at the end, and you said that you could find one. Do you want to do a quote?
Haven't I done like 3?
Yes, you have.
You just do one almost at the end. No, it's okay. You don't have to again. You don't have
yes,
to.
I can do one.
Okay. Do you want us to do ours first, and while you look for one, or you have one you already know?
No, I've got one and chopped away.
I love
chopped
that.
away.
You just shoot off dialogue and quotes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Beer is proof that God loves us. Do you know who said that?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I've heard it, but I don't know.
Beer is evidence that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
I write about the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
Yeah, looked me up. I got several books on it. I've won awards. I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I won this award one time, but it was just a participation trophy.
That's all right. I like them.
Yeah.
I like them.
But anyhow, that's my question.
Well, that's a good one. I don't know. I always think maybe coffee is the proof. I do like beer.
Yeah.
Coffee even more.
I I like beer too. I drink soda until it's socially acceptable to drink beer.
Yeah, they're waiting for the right time to go to the beer.
Yeah. That used to be with coffee, but then I don't need it. I've got enough energy, man. I don't need more. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so my quote is by Martin Luther King Jr. We are not makers of history. We are made by history. And that includes stupid history.
Yes.
I think stupid history does define us because we are defined by all these things that we use, right? Like
Right.
this fork that you mentioned. Like we're defined. Our things in our life really do define us, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, all right, Pascal.
Mine are so serious. I never have serious quotes.
Mine was pretty serious, I think.
This is like you usually do. Mine are really goofy usually.
Sorry.
But today is different. So I'm just going to read one of them because I can't even believe I wrote these. So Robert Heinlein, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but whatever. Generation which ignores history has no past and no future. That's what I got.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you guys know who Ambrose Bierce is?
I don't think so.
Well, she says, we spend a great deal of time studying history, which, let's face it, is mostly the history of stupidity.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that.
That should be on like a cover of your book. You should mark it with that. That's a great one. That's perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes,
and
thank you for having me.
Thank
you for having me.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.